Welcome to Channel AMAC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested in migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Alright, now today's video will follow on from yesterday's subclass 186. We're talking about the TRT stream. Now today we're going to focus on the exciting one, the direct entry stream. So in this video we'll specifically explain in 2025 how a 186 direct entry stream would actually work. Now again, the first half we'll be talking about the employer, how they will meet the requirement. It's not that hard. It's not as hard as 482 because it's straight away a company that is lawful, operational, and that will be it. And the second half we'll talk about how the visa applicant will actually meet the requirement and the differences between going through a TRT and direct entry stream. All right, so let's jump into the actual immigration's website, shall we? So again, you can see this one is very similar to the one that we have saw yesterday. It's an employment nomination scheme, so ENS, under the subclass of 186, but in different streams. So yesterday we're talking about the temporary transition, resident transition stream. Now today we're talking about the direct entry. So it's a short form DE stream, so direct entry stream. What does that mean? That gets you into a permanent residency straight away. Now, why are there differences between a TRT and direct entry? Well, TRT is usually people could apply with the work employment. Usually will be graduates because the usual scenario is it will be graduate because they don't have enough work experiences, because direct entry required to have skill assessment done and at least over 3-year full-time work experiences. So if you're a graduate, and even if you hold a temporary graduate visa, you probably won't even be able to accrue a 3-year work experiences. So then you will really require to go to TRT stream. But direct entry is more for an experienced professional that wanted to lodge the such visa. Now again, a lot of people will stress, well, why, if I'm experienced enough, why wouldn't the employer give me a 186 direct entry rather than put me onto a 482 visa? Now it's really upon the discretion and the choice from the employer to either sponsor you under 482 or sponsor you with a 186. Now why wouldn't they want to give you 186 straight away? First of all, usually they don't know you, and because there are so many other choices out there, they can actually sponsor someone else. Why you? You know, usually is that your skill talent can be replaced, is replaceable, and it's not that hard to actually find someone there. And again, the other thing is that they want to secure the employment that you can actually work for the employer. So then they sponsor you under 482 visa, because there are scenarios people get sponsored under 186 direct entry, and a few months later the actual visa holders got their permanent residency. They still work there, they probably work for another 1 or 2 months, and then what, they left. So that's the problem. They cost the employer money and cost the employment time, and now the employer gotta again looking for another talent to sponsor. So that's something that a lot of employers don't want to get into. So you gotta, sometimes if you want to get a visa, you really need to think about how the other side of the thing works. And that's why the video today, we're gonna explain the requirement from the employer side and also explain the requirement for the visa applicant side. Okay, so the cost and fees is the same there's no difference between TRT and direct entry. The skill Australian fund, I'm not going to jump in there to talk about it, but it's going to be $3,000 for any business that trades under 10 mil, and if you trade over 10 mil, then the skilling Australian fund is going to be $5,000 there. That's for the employer, the sponsor, to actually pay for. Now let's jump into the eligibility. As you can see, it's not that many, not many things that you require to be done. Now the differences here between 186 direct entry and also the 482 is that the 186 employer is no longer required to get yourself into a standard business sponsorship. So what does that mean? How would that actually? Why wouldn't the employer require to actually get themselves into SBS? Now the reason is probably you have sponsored this the worker, the employees, while you were still, your SBS still valid, but during the employments the SBS might go expired. But in order for that employer to actually further provide sponsorship for the permanent residency, there's no requirement for the employer to actually get that done again, because now this guy is going to become a permanent resident, so it's a right and easier way to make things much quicker and easier. So there's no requirement to go to actually get registered as a SBS for 186 visa there, as long as the business is eligible business. That means it's lawful, it's operational, nothing wrong with the business, no bankruptcies, no under administration, not being sued by whatever that is. So it's generally trading normally, then you'll be fine. Now the other differences here is that the occupation has to be within the CISO, the core skill occupation list. The difference between the DE and the TRT is TRT, the occupation can be any occupation as long as they are in the ENS code between the category from 1 to 4, I believe, the major category. So it basically can be anything. But for 186 is different. It has to be in the CISO, although the new core skill occupation list does cover how many? 465. Remember back there checking on the list there, it still covers most of the occupation, but for some occupation it's not there. For example, the restaurant manager is not in the core skill occupation list. So if you're a restaurant manager, you cannot go through 186 direct entry, so you have to go through 482. But however, 482 now cannot do that anymore. You probably need to go through the labor agreement. So that's a differences there now. All right, let's jump into what the criteria for the actual visa applicant. Now the fee cost is the same as the TRT stream, so $4,770 plus some surcharges, and also I believe when you launch this visa you probably will have some dependent, so that will including your spouse and kids, so that will be another visa application there. Now again, you got to be under 45 years of age, unless exempt. So usually the exemptions will go in there, have a talk about that there. Now again, you need to your occupation required to be within the core skill occupation list, and you need to have at least 3 years of relevant work experiences and have a positive skill assessment and also pass the English test. Now let's jump into the detail there. So the first one is that you got to be, again, we talked about this, you get your occupation required to be within the CISO. Relevant work experience, at least 3 years of work experience. Usually you will have that proven with the skill assessment as well. So you really need to get your skill assessment done. Differences here between TRT, well, look, as long as you have worked 2 years under 482 visa, there's no skill assessment required. You can lodge it straight away. So usually the direct entry will take much longer time to actually be assessed rather than the TRT stream, because they gotta assess your skill assessment and they gotta check your work experiences as well, because those work experiences, they will then see all the payslip, tax documents, reference letter, just to match that whatever you have worked for that 3 years matches towards the CISO, whatever the occupation's description that is. Okay, you got to be nominated for sure. You got to be nominated by your employer. Be of this age, got to be 45, unless you're a university lecturer, a researcher, scientist, or you are a person coming from New Zealand, you're a Kiwi. All right, that's another thing there. Now, meet the healthy requirement, character, Australian value, and you need to have English. That's gotta be competent English. That's IELTS 6 across 4 bands. Anyone that is above 18 years of age and required to have functional English. Functional English will equivalent to IELTS 4.5. So that's basically covering all the requirement that you gotta meet for the subclass 186 ENS direct entry stream. So the difference between the TRT and the direct entry is direct entry, you don't need to have a 482 visa. Now, another question is, if I have a 482 visa, can I lodge other than TRT but lodge another direct entry? Now, you may ask, why would you do that? You know, you can do a TRT, wouldn't that be quicker? Well, sometimes some people choose to do that because your experiences, the work experience that you accrue under your 482 visa might not meet that 2 years working for this current employer, but for totality, that you have worked more than 3 years of work experiences and you have found perhaps another different employer and who's happy and willing to actually sponsor you, then obviously you can jump the hoop and lodge a 186 direct entry visa with that another Australian employer to actually nominate you under the actual scheme. Anyway, should you have more question or query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I see you next video. Goodbye.